He terrorized offenses in the NFL for 13 seasons with the New Orleans Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a two-time Super Bowl winner, a Pro Bowler, and he now has a new book that is available to buy today. We welcome to the show Malcolm Jenkins. So good to have you.
Thank you for having
me. And the fit is clean, extra clean.
Is
that custom?
Yeah, it's Damari, my own line. You know, I like to.
You have your own line?
Yeah, I've been making clothes for about 5 years now.
Wow.
All of my pregame fits and all that stuff. Yeah, that was me.
Just
I might try one.
Yeah, we gotta get you right, Stephen.
I might try one of those.
Just men's, or have you dealt
No, we
with
do
women
women as well. Yeah, we do
Okay.
men's and women's custom clothes, all the way from suits down to casual.
Do you make it for Hulks?
We make it for
Shannon?
whatever. It's
Like
custom.
Shannon,
Shannon like his nice and fit, so we can get it. We're gonna get it tailored.
We need to talk after because we got a lot of shows.
I got you.
I love it. We're gonna get into the book in just a minute. Can't wait to hear why you decided to write it, the whole thing. But let's talk a little football, if that's cool. So we got two undefeated teams. Your former team, the Eagles, the Niners. Which team do you think is the best in the NFC right now?
I think it's really too early to see. I think what you do like to see out of both of these teams is that they're not doing things that lose football games. And like even in Philly right now, they're winning, but people are not. They don't like the style in which they're winning. They're winning close games, which I think is a good place to be at this point in the season. You're getting tested to win different ways. Each week, even though you're still stacking wins, you're trying to find things to get better at. You can still create that us versus them mentality. Purposely, or myself, selfishly, I think the Eagles, are the best team because of their pedigree and their ability to put last year behind them, their leadership. Jalen Hurts, I believe a lot in him. I think those two, obviously are the best teams, but I'm going to get a nod to Eagles.
What about the absence of both coordinators departing? A lot of people have been talking about Philadelphia when it comes to that, which is one of the reasons why they don't look as seamless and as fluid as they did last season. What do you make of that?
I mean, that was a big question mark coming into the season. You lose two coordinators. That's a big deal. And I think what we're seeing is a team adjusting to that. We're looking at the last year's team and expecting to see it this year, but this is a whole new year. So we'll see them mature in this defense and this offense. We'll see the play calling start to, fit and curtail to the players a little bit more. The players will understand it. And so, like I said, as long as they're still winning, that's a good place to be.
You know what? I agree with some of the things that you said, Malcolm, is that the Eagles are winning, although they don't look the best at winning. You go out west and you look at the 49ers, they're a well-oiled machine. From the jump, they're running the ball with Christian McCaffrey in between the tackles, out wide, and the imagination of Kyle Shanahan finding different ways to get C-Mac the ball, finding those receivers, because in the West Coast system, you know this, the wide receivers are basically running backs because they're going to take short routes and they got to be great run after the catch. They're dominating the line of scrimmage. Now, I think when it's all said and done, it's going to be these two teams in the NFC Championship game. But right now, I'm going to lean towards the 49ers because offensively, they looked as good as anybody through 4 weeks. Now, we've seen teams play good and then have a lull and then, up and down. But the 49ers have been steady for 4 straight weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They have, but I think they also have been untested. And I think what I like to see in teams early on in the season is, can you come back? If you deal with some injuries, do you have some depth? When you have some adversity, can you answer that? Because later in the season, when those games get closer and things are on the line, you already know you can prove it. And I think the Eagles have proven that already. The 49ers have looked phenomenal. They in every single game, like you said, they're a well-oiled machine. But I want to see what that looks like as things go on.
So basically what you're saying, Malcolm, is let's see what Brock Purdy's made of. Because I know you ain't got no questions about Debo.
Not at all.
You ain't got Ayuk.
Not at all.
George Kittle,
Not
Kyle
at all.
Shanahan.
Not at all.
So you talking about Brock Purdy. That's what you're talking about,
It's a team sport, man. But I think, that's part of it. You want to see what that looks like.
Be in some battles against some real tough defense
you want
see what he can do. He's seen Jalen Hurts do it, and he hasn't.
We haven't seen Brock Purdy,
which
but
is fair.
we haven't really seen him do it. The biggest test that he's had was the playoff game against Dallas, and their offense wasn't potent that game. So that remains to be seen. I believe it, brother, but he's got to show it.
For sure.
I want to switch gears to something else because obviously your former coach Sean Payton. I know you guys are tight. He's trying to turn things around in Denver. It looks like a tall task right now. Do you think Russell Wilson is the quarterback that can make them a winning team again?
Well, I think, we definitely know he has the pedigree, and we've seen Russell be that guy. What we haven't seen is if it's going to translate this year. Can it be a transition? And it's obviously been a struggle. And can him and Sean Payton get on the same page? And I think that's really between those two to determine. I think the talent is there. I think the know-how from the coaching standpoint is there. but the gelling of that has not happened yet. And I think that's really what, until that happens, it's going to be pretty much
with
the
the
same.
coach and the quarterback.
The coach and the quarterback got to get on the same page. And until that relationship is tight, it's going to be hard to expect to see something different on Sundays.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, guys, is that, and Mal, you can attest to this, when a coach comes into a new locker room, those aren't his kids. It's almost like going into a relationship and when one of the spouses already have kids. Those are not your kids. You kind of want your own kids in there. And so Sean Payton is going to try to get his own kids, players that he's familiar with. He brought the kicker, Will Lutz, but he's going to try to get more players that he's drafted, more players that he's familiar with within that locker room, because most of those guys were picked and chosen by someone else. And so how accepting is Sean Payton of these players? He didn't give Russell Wilson that contract. He didn't go out there and tell the Walton Penner family, we need Russell Wilson. So it's tough going into a new locker room as a new coach, and you're looking around at all these players, you're like, well, do they really fit my system? Do they really fit what I'm trying to do, what I want to do? Are they buying in? Sean Payton is an old school type of a coach coaching in a new era. These players, Malcolm, you just left recently, is different. They're on their cell phone. Their attention span is not what it was when you got in the league as opposed to when you left the league. And Sean Payton is probably having a much more difficult time than he thought dealing with a new locker room.
Yeah, I think, Sean is definitely, it's his way or the highway kind of coaches,
Yes.
right? Bill Parcells is his mentor. He's got,
Yes.
all of that is in his DNA. But I think one thing that Sean does do is create culture in which you have to buy in or you're going to get out. And I think we've seen that from him, from his takes, the way he's handling his team. You're going to buy into the Sean Payton way or he's going to get you out of that locker room.